they tried to do the same thing to a rich person?
They did. They tried to they create the Lost Liberty Inn on one of the Supreme Court justices' houses, but George W. overruled he used an executive order. We're not going to do this anymore. But so that was stopped. But I think it was more stopped because it was his buddy than because it was, you know, a good policy.
You also posted an article that something about the president starting a war by himself.
Okay, who has the power to declare the war?
But we didn't talk about
Congress is the only one that has the power to declare war, and I know we've talked about that, and that was the gist behind that article. Congress is the only one who can declare war, but the president cannot. The president can make war. The president can make war for 60 days, but the Congress is the only one that can actually declare it. So you have that congressman. Yeah, go ahead, Josh.
How many times could he declare the war for a 60-day period?
Okay, the president doesn't ever declare it.
No, aside from that make war.
The president can do it once for 60 days, and then that's it.
For his whole term?
Well, no. As long as it's as many different places, it could be as many different times.
So he could say go to one city and make war with that city, then go to a different city, the same country, and do another 60 days.
I think it would probably be more going to one country.
Okay.
Yeah, and that kind of a thing. Although I don't know that that's ever been specifically interpreted. Yes.
When Congress calls them back after the 61st day, is the president allowed to send them back out?
No. No, not at that point. Not immediately. Maybe in a year or two, but not immediately. Anything else from Chapter 2 as far as terms go? We had the eminent domain article. We had the president article. I'm trying to think of other ones. We're going to pull the FBI article. Is that right? We pulled the FBI article. What were the other Constitution articles? And
Was the pig spending one?
The budget.
Yeah.
So we had the pork, and then we had the budget. When you go back and we had the death penalty in the next chapter, make sure you look at those different round robins that I posted in there. Freedom, order, and equality, surveillance. We had the drones article. When can you use a drone and when can't you?
Outside.
Go ahead, what do you mean? Okay, outside. What does that mean?
They can see you. Let's say if you're growing a weed plant outside, they can use that against you, but if it's inside, then they can't.
Yeah, anytime that you're going to have an expectation of privacy. So, for example, if somebody flies over, you don't have an expectation of privacy there, even if it's fenced in, because they don't have to do any digging to see it underneath them. But if you got something in your house, then that is going to be something that they can't use it for unless they've got a warrant on this. They can't just do random with this. We had OnStar and we had the webcams. What was OnStar and the webcams talking about? Go ahead.
Well, which one do you want first?
Either way.
So the webcams was, it's actually University of Maryland is doing the pilot program where they're putting cameras in, and parents are consenting to having the cameras put in their teenagers' cars, so that if there's a sudden movement, whether or not it's they slam on the brakes or there's a sudden impact or something like that, the cameras turn on and begin recording so that you can see, is it your child doing something or was there something that was happening?
That's right. Okay, the G-forces. When the G-forces alter because of a sudden start or a sudden stop or taking a turn too sharp, the cameras will come on and basically film, what was it, like a 30-second clip?
It's a short clip.
Yeah, it's like a 30-second clip. And then they'll email this to the parents in a couple of days. Now, if you're smoking weed or having sex, unless you're really changing the G-force of the car, the cameras aren't going to kick on. This is dealing specifically with driving. What did it do to the kids driving?
It improved it.
It improved
86%.
86%. They began to get fewer and fewer, and they were dropping down to the point where they were getting no emails sent back to their parents from these clips on the webcams. This was making the road safer. It was also, in theory, lowering car insurance, accident claims, you know, all sorts of things. Now, having said this, it also violated privacy because there were people that were saying, listen, I'm not ready for this, and if I'm not ready for this, then the bottom line, I mean, you know, why are you watching me if I'm a 4.0 student or an honor roll kid, and indeed I haven't given you any reason. So part of this was the parents pushing for this, part of it was the kids pushing against this, part of it was safety, and part of it was insurance rates too, but they were finding that these cameras were working. What was OnStar?
Can control the speed of the car. If you pursue a chase, if the police are in a chase, okay, the OnStar can send a signal to the car that is being chased to cut off the fuel
Say that again.
To cut off the fuel.
That's not what you said the first time. I'm going to be able to watch this again. You're absolutely right on this. You're absolutely right. Basically, they could lower the fuel so that the vehicle could go no faster than 3 to 5 miles an hour. And the argument is that OnStar is helping you reclaim your stolen vehicles, number one, and number two, they're making it safer because people get killed that aren't involved with the police or the stolen vehicle in these high-speed chases. What else was it that police could do?
They can go.
Go ahead.
Couldn't they like pull up reports? Like if you were in court and you were speeding a lot, they could say like, well, over time this person.
This is the argument. OnStar is supposed to be able to give you directions and emergency services and maybe even this emergency slowdown type thing if your vehicle is stolen. But if they're able to use it here and you're paying for the service, it's also possible that they could monitor you in other ways. Meaning they're going to monitor your speed limit. They're going to monitor the miles that you drove so that we're going to tax, the government will tax you, not based on the fuel that you buy, but because, you know, miles per gallon are rising, they're going to tax you based on the miles that you drive. So there's a sense that they're going to be able, even with the GPS, to identify your location wherever you are, and people are getting a little scared about this. Yeah.
Would they track you outside a club or something if you're leaving late?
That was one of the other things too. It would also be possible that they could just pull up people's GPS and kind of watch people as they leave clubs.
They don't really have to be outside of the club. They could be like a block.
Yeah, that's right. And then they could just start following the missing dots that leave from that proximity. It's not there yet. It might not be there in 5 years.
They actually said 2013. I read the article, and the article says that in 2014 they're gonna put regulations on how to use those OnStar.
It's coming. Yeah. Go ahead, Josh.
Wasn't there a precedent for it to be used in a court case with, I think some marriage dispute over a guy having a mistress and going with a Easy Pass?
It
or
was
whatever?
Speed Pass. Yeah, it was. It was the toll Easy Pass.
No, it was the toll.
It was the toll.
Yeah,
that's what it was. And the idea on it was that every time they scanned that, he was getting off at his. He was exiting the road on the way to his mistresses, and they did use that as examples, and they used that as evidence against him. Yeah.
Oh, do you know what time it is?
Yeah, it's 5 minutes to 2.
Oh, 5 minutes to 2.
5 minutes to 2. Okay. Other articles. We had OnStar. We had webcam. We had the drones. I mean, make sure that you're pretty good with those.
There is the thing that the police can shot to the car and then stop it afterwards.
They can actually fire off those little laser guided, and it sticks to the car.
The GPS thing.
And then they would slow down, and then in theory you would slow down, but they would have a continuous tracking on you because of that.
Will all of this be online?
Yes, it will. That's why we're filming.
Today?
Hopefully so.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Any other articles from Chapter 2 that you can think of right off? I think that's a pretty good job of covering them. Any questions? Go ahead.
Wait, what about in Washington, the Jehovah? Because this kind of goes to one of the Jehovah's Witness kids. Is that going to be?
Okay.
That's
all right. Now there was stare decisis.
Yeah,
there was original intent, and then there was balancing. Okay, and these are kind of terms on this. What was stare decisis literally meaning?
Let the decision stand.
Let the decision stand. Yes, let the decision stand. And how does that work?
Once a judge rules on it, that's what it is.
Supreme Court
or
rule something, it sticks for the rest of the cases.
Okay, all right. So basically, if you make a decision in the Supreme Court or in local courts, the bottom line is that you, at that point, if a similar issue comes up, that decision is supposed to be the thing that decides the future cases. All right. How strong is stare decisis?
Very strong.
Okay, give me an example. Abortion. Why is abortion so strong with stare decisis?
Because it's been established, has been, once it was established, it has now been established for so long that it's become common or accepted.
Yeah.
And so it's
abortion has been there for over 3 decades. You're right, like 30 some odd years now. And the gist of this is, actually it's getting closer to 40 than 30. Okay, the gist of it is that since it's been good law for so long, it's an established precedent. The longer it stays good law, the less likely it's ever going to be overturned. What was the deal with the Jehovah's Witness kids?
Oh, they didn't want to say the pledge.
They didn't want to stand for the pledge. Why did the school want to make them stand for the pledge?
Because they said it promotes like nationalism or something like that.
Good citizenship.
Good citizenship.
Good citizenship. Good patriotism. You know, these kinds of things. Okay, they were suspended. they sued because it was violating what?
Freedom of religion.
Religious beliefs. The Jehovah's Witnesses, I'm not an expert on this, basically are not supposed to acknowledge worldly beings. The pledging of allegiance to a flag was the acknowledgement of a worldly being, so that was a problem right there. Who won? Because they sued. Was it the school system
The
or
school
was it the
system.
kids?
The school system won.
Why did the school system win?
Because they said that the Pledge of Allegiance is not a religious act. It's kind of just building patriotism. It has nothing besides that.
It's a citizenship act. We're basically